Welcome back to the channel. This is S.O.G. Today we're comparing the Glock 45 Gen 6 to the Ruger RXM. Now both of these have that compact slide with a full-size grip, so you do get 17 rounds in both. You could find the RXM anywhere from $400 to $430, but obviously it doesn't come with the optic or the light that I personally have on here, but you do get a hard case, you get paperwork, a locking cable, two 17-round PMags, and then you also get contents which includes a wrench and locator pins for that universal optic plate system we'll get into in a minute. Compared to the 45 Gen 6, this one comes in at $620 and again does not come with the red dot or the light, but it does come with the hard case, two additional back straps, three total Glock 17 round magazines. You have paperwork, a locking cable, and then you have your plate system here, and you also have a mag speed loader. Diving into the overall dimensions between the two, let's start with the length, and that's going to be this portion of the handguns here. Now the 45 Gen 6 has an overall length of 7.44 inches, and the RXM has an overall length of 7.15 inches. And I think the reason the 45 is a little bit longer is because of this extended beaver tail, and remember it's an overall length, so I think the grip angle really pushes that length further out on the 45 compared to the RXM. Next, we got the overall height between these two, which is going to be how tall they sit. Now, the 45 Gen 6 stands at 5.47 inches tall compared to the RXM, which stands at 5.6 inches tall. And what helps the RXM be just slightly taller is going to be the sights here. So as you guys can see, look at those sights. Look how high those sit compared to the factory Glock sights. So I think that really pushes it towards being a little bit taller compared to the 45. Comparing the overall width, the Ruger is 1.26 inches wide and the Glock is 1.35 inches wide. Now, when we're comparing the weight between these two, the Glock comes in at 23.1 ounces and the Ruger is 23.4 ounces. So pretty similar in weight. And the RXM has a 4-inch barrel compared to Glock's 4.02-inch barrel. Next, we're going to take a look at the triggers, and here is the RXM. So a pretty decent take up, followed by some creep there, and then a nice crisp break, and the reset is a jumpy reset, which is a good thing because it really jumps you right back into that position to take that follow-up shot. Here it is again. And here is the 45. Now this one has a little bit more resistance to the trigger. Similar feel, a little creep there, and then a good break. And the reset on the 45 is, I do prefer the reset on this one. It's more tactile. It feels a little more positive. Let's check that out one more time here. Yeah, I do prefer it on this one, at least dry firing them both side by side, but we're going to take these out to the range. Let's get our gear together and put some shots down the range to compare accuracy and recoil, things like that. And we're back from the range. Let me say both of these are incredible. They both feel very soft and have very low muzzle flip in the hand, and I love the fact that I can get on target quickly with both of them. They're almost identical, but at the same time they feel completely different in the hand. The Ruger RXM, and I'm assuming it's because of the grip angle, but the RXM feels more natural to me. but I have a better grip, if that makes any sense, with the 45. And I don't know if it's because of the grip angle or the stippling and the beaver tail. I'm not sure. Another thing to note, and this is kind of a side note, is this PIDK has been a little bit inconsistent. It continues to ride and creep its way forward, even though it's completely locked in and tightened down. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but not something I would recommend currently at this point. But shout out to that Olight PLX. This thing is a banger. I got it on 3 different handguns. Anyway, so yeah, these both were extremely accurate. As you guys seen in the video, the Glock did shoot a little bit to the left, but I blame that on the red dot. Nothing wrong with the red dot. It's just not 100% sighted in. But both of them were awesome. Both did a phenomenal job at the range. I really, really enjoyed both, but the Ruger RXM trigger is just much better in my personal opinion. I really enjoy the trigger on the RXM much better than I do with the Glock. It feels more of a shooter gun. There's just no resistance compared to the Glock. The Glock has a lot of trigger resistance when getting to that break, that initial break. And even the reset is a little bit better on the Ruger RXM. It's a little springy, so it brings you right back to that reset point. But both were awesome. Shout out to both Ruger and to Glock. They did their thing. But let me know in the comments. You guys saw in the video, I slowed it down for you guys and showed you the results. What are your thoughts based off of the performance? I mean, it's a $200+ difference, but performance wise and even reliability wise, I would say I'm very impressed with the Ruger. But anyway, let's get back to this comparison video. Next up, we're going to take a look at some of these differences in features. We're going to start with slide features and finish up with frame features. So starting with the RXM, we have front and rear slide serrations. I would consider these serrations to be normal. They're not overly aggressive or deep, but not that you need them because the slide is pretty easy to rack. And then you have a direct mounting system for your optic plate system here, which is really nice and a standout feature from the Ruger here. You can literally mount almost any dot on the market on this gun without needing an adapter plate thanks to their pin set system. And speaking of which, you do have some raised sights, metal night sights on the RXM. So the rear sight is blacked out and serrated. And then the front sight is a tritium front sight. Then if you take a look down here from the top of the slide, you do have that little loaded chamber indicator window. So if you have something in there, you should be able to see the casing to tell you that you have something in the chamber. You don't get any manual external safeties, nor do you get any striker indicators on this Ruger RXM. Now comparing that to the 45 Gen 6 here, this one also has front and rear slide serrations, but Glock did make these deeper and a little more aggressive, so I do prefer them over the RXM. The slide does feel a little easier to rack on this 45 than the Ruger, but they're both very easy to manipulate. This one does not have metal night sights. This comes with Glock's traditional plastic sights, as you guys can see. And then the optic plate system on this was actually changed by Glock recently. They went away from their MOS system. And now this is something I would say it was more of a change, not really an upgrade, because you still need something in between the optic and the gun. Now, although they don't call them adapter plates, they call them crush washers now. You still have to put something in there to get you to mount that optic. It doesn't raise the optic cut at all, but you still don't get a co-witness out of the factory sights, which kind of is a bummer. It would have been nice to been able to get a just a factory co-witness. Even if they didn't change the sights, it still would have been pretty cool to have. This one does have a loaded chamber indicator, and the extractor actually serves as that. So once you have one in there, this will raise out and you'll be able to feel it versus visibly see it compared to that Ruger RXM. And again, no manual external safeties and no striker indicator on the 45. Continuing with the RXM and the frame features, we have a 1-slot pick rail. You have a thumb ledge with some stippling here for both right-handed shooters and left-handed shooters. But if you're a lefty, just keep in mind that this might not be the gun for you because the manual controls are set up for right-handed shooters only. The mag release and the slide lock are right-handed shooters only, and you can't swap, unfortunately, to the other side. The takedown pins are on both sides because you kind of need those to remove the slide from the frame. And speaking of the frame, you do have some really nice stippling on this RXM, kind of a 360 style stippling all the way around, even above the mag release, which is really awesome. Speaking of the mag release, it is extended just like the other manual controls on here, so it's really easy to access without having to readjust your hand to reload or to remove that magazine. And then you have a nice little gap in front of that trigger for gloved hands if you need to. You don't get any stippling or anything like that under the trigger guard or in front of the trigger guard, but you get a little decent finger groove up here or undercut to get you a nice high grip on that. Now it feels really good in the hand. It does fit it really nicely. The texture or the stippling isn't overly aggressive. I think they could have gone a little more aggressive, but it works. It just works. I think another huge standout feature from this RXM though is the trigger chassis system. So you can really change the frame or the slide however you like, and that just goes above and beyond in modularity. This is, like I said, the full frame. You can get the subcompact or the compact and kind of go from there. Options are endless. You can even get aftermarket metal frames, which is awesome. And then you get a little bit of a beaver tail here. Unfortunately, Ruger doesn't give you any backstrap options, but it's nice. Ergonomics are pretty good on this. And the 45 Gen 6 also comes with a one slot pick rail up front for weapon mounted lights. You also get that thumb ledge or gas pedal up here, and this one is a little bit longer than the one on the RXM, and you also get stippling. I do prefer it on the Glock, and this one also has it on a right-handed side and the left-handed side, which is pretty nice. Manual controls on this. You have takedown levers here, you have slide lock and mag release, and then if we flip it over, you'll find that you have obviously that takedown pin right there. You'll have slide lock, and the mag release you can flip over if you're a left-handed shooter. So this is a little bit more ambi friendly, or if you're a left-handed shooter, this might be a better deal for you. This has an extended beaver tail, really exaggerated, which you can either hate it or love it, but it works. It does a great job of keeping you from getting any slide bite and of getting a really nice high grip on that handgun. And then you have a nice undercut under the trigger right here, again, just to aid you in getting a high grip on that, to just give you better control of the firearm when you're shooting. You don't get any texture underneath the trigger guard or anything like that. You get a little bit in front of the trigger guard. Also good for gloved hands, I would say here. You get plenty of room. As far as the stippling on the Gen 6, they knocked it out of the ballpark. One of the best, I would say, stippling on the market. Love that they put it everywhere. 360 design again, went above that mag release, and then you get a little bit of a flared mag well integrated into that frame. I'm not sure if you guys can see it. Actually, the Ruger did the same, but they went a little bit more extended on that, and it works a little bit better in my personal opinion. And the controls on this, again, very easy to manipulate, to remove and insert the slide. So you don't have to manipulate your hands a certain way to get that going. It just works really, really well. Overall, it feels awesome in the hand. I would say the grip texturing on this is slightly more aggressive than the RXM, so I do prefer it on this 45 versus the Ruger. But both feel really good. This also has some palm swells in here. I'm not sure if it's visible on camera, but it looks and feels really, really good in the hand. And this one comes with backstrap options, as we talked about, so you can really, make it bigger or a little bit smaller than what it is now to kind of customize it to your hand size. So overall, just a really, really good job by Glock in upgrades and all that sort of thing with this one. Talking about upgrades, they also upgraded to that flat face trigger, as we talked about a little earlier, but the trigger feel and the pull weight is all the same. So just more aesthetics than anything else. And that'll wrap it up for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to smash the like button if this is some content that you enjoyed. And let me know in the comments which of these two you would choose and why. Do you prefer the trajectory and the upgrades that Glock made to the Gen 6, or do you prefer the value and the modularity of the Ruger RXM? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But if you already have, I appreciate you guys so much. God bless you, and I'll see you on the next video.